Hey, what's up guys? Today we'll be talking about the brand new 15-inch Microsoft Surface Laptop 3. It's a $1,200 laptop aimed at portability, and there's a lot to talk about here, so I'm just gonna jump right in. The build of the Laptop 3 is completely different than the Laptop 2. The 15-inch model only comes in aluminum with a matte black or platinum finish. The 13-inch comes in either aluminum or Alcantara like last year, if you're curious, with a bunch more colors. One thing I noticed with this matte black color is that it hides oils quite well, much better than the Razer laptops, which is really nice to see. The screen is very stiff and rigid, the keyboard deck has minimal flex, and the rubber feet on the bottom are grippy so it won't slide around on your desk. There's a plastic strip that runs across the hinge, which I assume is for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna, and the hinge is tuned perfectly like last year. It's a one-hand open, but it still does have quite a bit of screen wobble like last year if you're someone who uses the touchscreen a lot. For the screen, they're using a 15-inch IPS panel with a super weird resolution that's kind of like 1440p but more vertical pixels for the 3:2 aspect ratio. The brightness is good, but color gamut, color accuracy, and contrast are all mediocre. The color accuracy was especially poor because of the constantly changing gamma with the enhanced color profile, but once you change it to sRGB, it becomes quite a bit more accurate. There are two things that I don't like. One, this isn't particularly good for gaming, which I'll talk about the performance in a bit because the 3:2 aspect ratio isn't really supported in a lot of games that I tried, and the gamma seems to change depending on what's on your screen. So if you switch from a mostly white browser page to a dark themed app, like Discord for example, it looks really dark, and going from dark to white looks really dim until it gradually brightens up the image. This is with automatic brightness disabled. The camera up top supports Windows Hello Face Unlock, and it works just as you would expect. Positioned underneath the keyboard are the speakers, and these are by far some of the very best speakers on a 15-inch laptop that I've heard, especially given how thin this is. It's one step behind the 15-inch MacBook Pro, but it's still incredibly loud, very detailed, good bass response. The vocals sound very natural, which is the one thing that most beefy gaming laptops with loud speakers still do quite poorly, and overall these are tuned very well. The keyboard is a sharp contrast to all the other laptops because this has much less key trouble, softer key switches, and much lighter actuation force. It's really strange to see this when they had one of the very best keyboards of any laptop. It's not a bad keyboard, but it's also not a good one either. The typing experience mostly lacks key travel, but the layout is great, everything is up in the function row, good spacing and keycap sizes. It's a decent keyboard overall, I would say, and I haven't had any issues while typing. On the other hand, the trackpad remains one of the best of any Windows laptop. Good surface area, smooth glass texture, good actuation force and button feedback, Windows precision drivers, nothing to really criticize or complain about here. For ports, you have a USB 3, USB-C, their product page doesn't specify Thunderbolt 3, and I don't have any Thunderbolt devices to check, unfortunately. You have a headphone jack and a Surface Connect port. I'm not sure why they skimped so hard on ports on a 15-inch laptop, but that's what you have here. So my unit is configured with a Ryzen 7 3780U with the Vega 11 graphics, 16 gigs of RAM, and a upgradable 512 gig SSD. In terms of performance, this is sort of equivalent to Intel's ultra-low power 28-watt quad-core CPUs meant for Ultrabooks, and the GPU is equivalent to like a MX150, so it's quite a bit faster than Intel's integrated graphics, but it's not like a GTX 1650 if you're wondering. It's still integrated, which is why 2 of your 16 gigs of RAM is reserved. So if you remember the MSI PS63 Modern, which was also a 15-inch laptop running Intel's low-power quad-core CPUs and a GTX 1650 to pull 10 to 12 hours of battery life, that is kind of what Microsoft is going for here. People like artists who don't need a lot of performance and still want it to be fast enough for some flexibility, and who need extreme portability, so thin and light with full-day battery life. This is it. It's 0.6 pounds lighter than a 15-inch MacBook Pro at just 3.4 pounds, but still fast enough for Photoshop or 1080p video edits. Thermals, on the other hand, are rather poor because of the fan speed. It's extremely biased towards being quiet, just like the MacBooks, and for this reason, I always prefer to have manual fan control, but Unfortunately, that is not available with this officially as far as I'm aware. There's a tiny 46 watt-hour battery inside, pulling around 7.5 hours of battery life, brightness set to 90%, automatic brightness disabled, power mode set to recommended with 2 tabs in Firefox, and Visual Studio Code, which is really just a fancy text editor. It also comes with a compact 65 watt magnetic charger. So who would I recommend this to? Anyone who doesn't need high performance with a huge focus on portability and also wants everything else to be really good. So imagine this as like the MSI PS63 but with better build quality, better trackpad, better speakers, and a much better display. Or if you haven't seen it before, think of like an XPS 15 but lower performance to make it much thinner and lighter. In both cases, you are sacrificing on the GPU performance. Both of them are running the GTX 1650, so it's not a universally better option than those two, but I do think it's an overall more enjoyable laptop to use for light use, and starting at $1,200, it's not significantly more expensive, which is nice to see. So if you are interested in this laptop, I would definitely recommend taking a look at the PS63 because it's probably the main competitor to this. Both are available from the Microsoft Store with a 10% student discount. Okay, that is the end of this review. I hope you liked it. Any requests for any laptops, you can drop them in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time.